Alert. This meeting is being recorded. Alert.
Okay, so Marie, if you're not going to be using, if you're not going to be walking along with us, you might want to mute, because every time something happens, your JAWS announces, and yeah, and it will be totally unrelated. If you were on the computer, if you were on the website, that would be perfect, but yeah. Just in case someone has to leave the meeting and we don't need to hear that. Please, thanks.
Off my shoe.
You too, wiping on.
Yeah, okay, Marie, you need to mute, or I need to mute you.
No, that's
I'll
not-
just mute her.
Laundry, just throw it in. I do mine.
Okay. There we go.
Mhm.
All right. Welcome to navigating a survey with NVDA and JAWS on a website. Go, Diana. Let's start with your idea of
Oh, all right.
yeah.
If you want to get a general idea of what kinds of controls are on the survey, once you've opened it, you can move by, and in this case, headings isn't necessarily the best way, but you could to go by H for heading. You can go by X, which will show you all the places in the survey where there are checkboxes. You can go by C, which is going to show you a combo box. You can go by T, which will take you to any tables in the survey. Now, you may not want to fill it out this way, but sometimes I just do these commands so that I know what I'm going to expect as I work through the survey. And then I go back and I go through it very organized. But it's just handy to know what you're going to come up against. So when I did the first X, it took me to the very first question 1, and it didn't read me the question title because, of course, it's skipping to that checkbox. So once I know that, the first question is, what is your involvement with AEBC? Please check all that apply. So now you can go through and you can find all of your check boxes, read what they are, and then you can press space to select them, or you can sometimes press enter. I think space is probably the safer thing to check. So what I would suggest, because the first thing is all check boxes, is that you all answer the first question and check all of the things that pertain to you.
And there are a few other little controls that you can search for this way.
Yeah.
There's R for radio buttons. Those are the ones where you can only choose one, as opposed to the check boxes where you could choose all or none or some. But R for radio buttons, E for edit fields, so where they want you to write something. And F, I don't know if F works for JAWS, but
it
F
does. Perform
so
F. I was going to say F.
Yeah, F is my favorite because it doesn't matter which one comes first. It'll take you to the first one.
Yeah.
So
the first one,
yeah, and I learned something today because I didn't know about X. So
So I do notice by doing the first question, it has the checkbox. You actually have to go and see what the option is and go back to the checkbox. Like if you're arrowing the
yeah, if you're arrowing. Otherwise, if you just do X or F, it'll move you from checkbox to checkbox and read what they are.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Either one, F or X in this case.
In this case, yeah.
So that's the number 1, and they're all check boxes. You can check some or all. I assume you're going to at least be one. You're either going to be an annual member or a lifetime member, and then
Mhm.
maybe some of the other things. But, this is an AEBC survey, so I'm assuming that you'll be one or the other, or, at least one. And,
The other control we didn't do is button, which we
Oh,
wouldn't
yes.
necessarily use in this particular.
yes, it
We
is
can
actually.
do, yeah, but what I meant was it's also handy on a website if you're
Yeah.
looking for a certain button to press. These commands are not just for forms, they're
No, they're
really
all over the
website
place.
commands. Yeah.
Yeah. And there are 2 buttons on this survey. One is exit and one is done.
Yes. So if you lose those,
Yeah.
you're good.
Okay, I'm going to assume that we've spent enough time on number 1 that we
Yes.
can move to question number 2, which is a radio button. So this is a single choice. So you're going to pick one or the other, and if you change your mind, as soon as you choose a new one, the old one goes away. So it's like they're little circles, and you're filling in a circle, and you can only have one. That's why they're called radio buttons. You can only choose one radio station at a time. So you can only turn, the dial will only go to one station at a time.
On the old car radios where you used to have buttons and you could program, you could set up 6 or 7 or whatever, you'd push one in and that one would be in and all the other ones would be out. And that's the idea of the radio button. If you pushed another one in, the first one would pop out. So that's, if you're old enough to remember those, that's another way to think of it.
Well,
Yeah.
tape recorder did the same thing.
Uh-huh, yeah. Sort of,
Yeah, sort of.
So,
But
with the exception of the record, which is usually
It's
play
play
and
and
record.
record.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I was
I had to
thinking
think for a
exactly
minute.
that.
Yeah.
That's exactly where I went as soon as she said it with the play record.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so that's question number 2. Is for it.
Yeah,
Is there
I've done
any-
1 and 2, so I'm waiting for
Okay,
3.
so number 3 is a combo box, and these things, if they work properly, and this one does, Alt down arrow is your safest bet, I would say,
Me too.
because it's a Windows command, and it will, if the combo box is a standard control, it will open up the list. So it's a list that is sort of smushed together so that it doesn't have to show like the radio button where all the list is there, or the list of check boxes that all the list is right on the front. You only get select item, or you get a blank at the top of the combo. So it's like opening a box. And you're going to open a box and there's a list of things and you're going to pick one. Again, it's one of these, you can only pick one. So,
And once you've done Alt down arrow, you move through them just with down arrow.
Yeah.
Once it's open.
and then if they work properly, you can just tab away from it and it should save your selection. There are times when this doesn't work. I've found sometimes the worst ones, the worst offenders, are the country combo boxes that'll be on websites where it's got every country in the world, and you need to find Canada, and they start at A. And you have to arrow down and find Canada. And then when you tab away, it doesn't save it, or it saves the one above, or it does weird things. And when you come across those, usually I try enter first. If I tab away and I realize that Canada didn't save and I'm back at the top again and I have to go through it again, then I'll try enter. And if enter doesn't work, then I'll try space. And I would go tab, enter, space would be the order that I would try with those. But they are usually, that's the usual one that gives me
Trouble.
fit.
You can
is
also pick them by letter sometimes, but that's not for sure.
Sometimes, but
Sometimes
yeah,
if you want
somet-
Canada and you're at A, you press
Yeah.
C and it'll go to Cambodia because
Yeah.
that's before
Yes, I
Canada,
have
but you're closer.
Yeah.
Yes, I have
But
had that
some-
happen too. And
But
yeah, no,
sometimes it doesn't work.
No,
Um,
sometimes it doesn't.
And
But those are-
especially, yeah, sometimes there'll be a combo box, but with an edit field at the top. And so if you type something in there to try and go by letters, it messes things up completely. But that's the problem with websites, is that sometimes the controls are not standard, but we've made sure that our surveys at least are accessible, and they're getting better out there.
Yeah.
But they're not perfect. So Lisa, were you able to deal
Yeah,
with
yeah, yeah.
number
I chose
three?
mine. Yes, I chose my number 3. I got it. The only thing I tried to
Okay.
do is spacebar, but entered worked, was the one that worked. So
Okay, whatever works. All right, now number 4 is an edit box with a nice long question. So
Mhm.
the only thing about edit boxes is that you need to be sure that you're in the right mode. So if you start typing and NVDA or JAWS starts babbling that there aren't any annotations or there aren't any this, or you know that you have to hit enter to get into forms mode or focus mode that NVDA calls it. But usually if you're tabbing, and depending on how you have it set, it will automatically take you into the mode you need.
And that's where the E and the F are handy too, because it dumps you right in that field.
Yeah,
That edit
it'll take
field.
you there, and then
Yeah.
you could just hit enter
Hit
if you
enter.
need to.
Yeah.
If you need to. There's a setting in NVDA and there's a setting in JAWS. They both have it. They're
Mhm.
called different things, but they do the same thing, and that is to automatically put you into focus mode in a field where you need to type, or when it wants you to type. And sometimes that's good, and sometimes it's not. It depends. Yeah. So Lisa, are you good?
okay, so after I've typed,
You just tab out of
You
there.
can tab out of there.
And it should move you.
okay, yeah, tab. Oh, the slider one.
Yeah, the slider. So this is cool. The only time I've played with sliders on a usual basis is on a site like YouTube or YouTube, where I'll want to know how long the silly video is that I'm watching, and how far I am, and if I want to move it ahead, then I get into the slider. So I don't know how JAWS works, but NVDA, if I hit a space bar when I'm in the right place, it takes me into the slider, and then I can use.
I'm using right arrow, but you can use in JAWS. I'm using a right arrow to move up and left arrow moves down.
It looks like right arrow moves up and left moves down with NVDA. And in this survey, what's really neat is that once you select something in the slider, once you get where you want to be, when you either escape or tab out of it, there is an edit box that will, if you don't write something in there, the slider will, and the slider will put wherever you stopped. So I stopped on the number 26, and so that's what's in my edit box now. But
As a percentage.
yeah. Well, that's what it's asking. Basically, how much do you like, or how often do you read Monday Morsels? Is this one. and each end is never, so never would be 0 or 1, and then read it every day when it comes, read it every Monday when it comes out, all the time would be 100. And you have to choose where you are in the middle of that, where you fit. But I am impressed at the accessibility of that slider.
Yeah, I was too.
Yeah, that was the control that I was a little worried about, but it worked really well on the iPhone, and it works really well on the computer.
Okay, so
Okay.
I chose the long slider, and in the edit box, it has put my number. I'm done.
Good. Okay.
Good.
All right.
So
So now
that's
we
where I'm
can,
sitting right now. So should I arrow
so
or
you can
tab
tab.
next?
Doesn't matter, whichever one's easier for you. If you're out of the edit box, you can arrow. If you're still in the edit box, you can tab. And number 6 is the same as number 1. So this is
Okay.
a collection of checkboxes.
Okay, yeah, okay.
So they should be very familiar. It's the same control we've seen in number 1.
So
Mhm.
And remember that only by arrow keys means that you don't use any other form of navigation on a website, like in this form. So
Exactly.
I
Not
don't-
like occasionally. I wouldn't think,
yeah,
well, there would be, I guess, some people who read from top to bottom and only arrow, and
Yeah.
that would be there, but that's what we're trying to get at is if there's more efficient ways, are you using them?
yeah. And
Okay,
when you're finished number 6, Lisa, you can move. Number 7 is the same as number 6 is the same as number 1. So there are more check boxes for you.
Mhm.
okay.
And 8 is the same as number 7, it's the same as number 6, it's the same as number 1. So let me know when you're done number 8.
Yeah.
Because there's really nothing else we can tell you about the check boxes.
No.
They're still check boxes.
Oh, but wait till we get to number 9.
Well, yeah, and that's why this is our favorite, is number
Mhm.
9.
Okay, when the options individuals from emails from individuals, that means like
Means
Like
that I
your
send
friend
you
or-
an email.
Mhm.
I send you an email, or Diana sends you an email, and it's just to you. So it's an email from a person rather than an email from the main at aebc.groups.io, which is an email, like an announcement list, or an email from an organization, rather than rather than an email from, it could be from me to 25 of you, 25 people, but it's an email from an individual as opposed to on a list,
Mhm.
or
So it
from a
would
list.
be like we just sent Pat the survey link. So that's from an individual to her because
Yeah.
she requested it, that kind of thing.
It's like me emailing Linda Barton yesterday, and then her emailing me back. It's an individual.
Mhm.
So you might be using her ABC account. You're still individually an individual.
Mhm.
Yes, I got it done, Marcy. I emailed her.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
All right.
my 13th has now become very full.
Good.
okay, in question number 7, I think equalizer's in there twice.
Oh, probably.
I
Okay.
think you're right.
Okay. I'm thinking. Okay, every time I've gone over through this, I swear it is. Well, I'll check it both times.
No, it's not.
Well,
No, it's
Oh.
not.
is it?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
remember that they're all check boxes, so it's very possible that that your computer switched questions on you.
Mhm.
Because if you were just going back and forth about among the check boxes, there's not necessarily a way that you would tell when it was a checkbox related to number 7 as opposed to a checkbox related to number 8. Because
Right.
they're all the same. They're
Oh,
basically,
right, yeah.
it's basically the same list. I think it may be longer in number 7, but it's basically the same list of places that you want to receive communication. So, the first one is where do you receive your information from? And
and
the
it's only
next
in there
one is,
once.
yeah,
See, it actually says, the first time it says equalizer newsletter, and then near the bottom of the list, it says equalizer. So that's,
yeah, there you go.
Mhm. Well, for question, there are 2 different questions. The one is
Yeah.
asking, what do you use now? And the next one is, what would you prefer?
yeah, I know,
basically.
I know.
Yeah.
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 All right. So are we ready to play with question 9?
This is the
Mhm.
one I came on for because I figured I
Oh.
knew the rest of them.
Okay, yeah, hitting the table. Yeah.
All right. So question 9 is just all it is a bunch of questions that have the same rating scale. But instead of being listed completely separately, they're in a table, which means that what you're doing is choosing which column. So there's each column, the first column is the question. Sorry. Let's just do something about that. The first column is the item or the statement. The next column is more. I want to hear more. The next column is about the same, and the next column is less. I want to hear less about this thing. So there are a few ways you can navigate this. You can arrow down from the top down, and what it will do is it will repeat a bunch of things. First of all, it'll tell you the column names because it's a table, and there isn't a column name for the item column. But then we've got more of this topic, about the same, and less of this topic. So then the first thing you'll hear after that is the first topic, which is national chapter and affiliate news. So that's in column 1, and the next thing that's going to happen is that it's going to take you through those other columns if you're using your arrow keys. And it will give you a chance to decide which column you want to put which radio button, because remember you can only choose one for each of these. So which one do you want to choose? If you arrow down, the first thing you're going to hear is the word radio button, because that's the way they work. So the first radio button it's going to repeat the topic, and then it's going to say more of this topic. So if that's what you want, you check that, the one above it. The next one is going to be the topic again, and then about the same. And the next one is going to be the same topic and about and less. I want to hear less about that. So you can arrow down that way, and that's the way it'll work. Or if that's not to your liking, or if you want to try something different, both JAWS and NVDA have table commands. And so what you can do is read the first column, which is national chapter and affiliate news. And then you can go to the right by column instead of going down the first row and then the second row and then the third row. You can go across each row by column with the table command, and I can tell you that for NVDA, it's Alt Control and the arrow keys. So
Yes, and
Alt
that's the
Con-
Windows command, so it works. It's not just
It's
JAWS and
okay.
NVDA.
Okay, good. So Alt Control right arrow will take you across a row. Alt Control left arrow will take you back cell by cell across a row. And Alt Control down arrow will take you down down the column. So if you were sitting on the chapter in affiliate news and you did Alt Control down arrow, it would show you vision issues from other sources. So it would go down the topic list. If you do it this way, what happens is you still hear the same things. So you still hear radio button and you hear the topic name and you hear more of this topic, less of this topic, or about the same. But when you land on that, you can just hit space bar and it'll check the radio button. Whereas if you're going down, 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 you hear radio button first. You've got to go down to figure out, is that the right one? And then go up to check it. Though sometimes you can hit space on the actual wording, and sometimes that will check it, but it's sometimes.
Yeah.
So it just depends. This is not this is there are always more than one way to do something. So you can, like I said, you can by all means use your down arrow, walk through it slowly, or use the table commands, whatever works for you and whatever makes the most sense.
It's very handy to get used to using the table commands, because you run into tables all over the place, whether you have to fill them in or you're trying to read things in a column or across a row. So the table commands are really handy to know.
Yeah. And they're simple. They're not, Alt Control is a really easy keystroke to handle with your left hand, and then your right hand does the arrow keys. So it's not, it's not something where you're trying to do gymnastics like some other keystrokes. Yeah. So those are there are other ways you can deal with, you could move by radio button, so you could hit R and move through them that way. Whatever, that works too. You can move by R and it'll read the topic and then what the particular choice is. So that works just as well as, and that's actually might be faster than the down arrow.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, the down arrow is the slowest way of moving through this. R would get you through it, a little faster, and the table commands might make it more understandable. Just to know that they're in a row. You've got the column 2 of this table is always going to be more of this topic. Column 3 is about the same, and column 4 is don't want to hear about it. Want to hear less about it.
Yeah.
So there's 3 ways of handling this table. None of them are pretty. It's not, it's not what I would call the most elegant. It may look elegant, but for a screen reader, to me, it doesn't make any difference to like, it doesn't make me want it more. I personally wouldn't mind if they were separate questions, with, more or less, they don't need to be in a table, but a table is very simple and it simplifies the look of the thing.
Mhm.
But it's not necessarily, the only way to do this. There are
The
always,
reason we did it this way is because we wanted to introduce people to tables and show you that you could navigate them.
Yeah.
Because you're going to see them often. And that was the whole point of doing this survey, was to be able to show these things and how you can fill them in or whatever.
yeah, and collect the information.
Mm-hmm.
So it's got two purposes. It's to try and teach you that surveys are not scary, and that and these, I think the only thing that isn't in this survey is a spin box. There
Yeah, no,
isn't
they're not.
one.
No,
I thought there was, but there isn't. So
I did
10 and
too.
11, yeah, 10 and 11 are just edit boxes, so you just fill them out, if there are any topics. 10 is, are there any topics you don't think we should, that we shouldn't be writing about? And 11 is if you want to join, if you want a part in the draw for a raffle, that, you give
Mhm.
your email address. And that's the survey.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
That
still
is
stuck on
the
this
survey.
table thing. Every time I try to
Okay.
do something, it's throwing me somewhere else and I keep having to come and find it back. And so,
Okay,
Oh,
so, all right, so why don't you find the question 9 again and start
okay,
at the top,
yeah, 9. Okay, yeah.
okay?
It's just read me
All
the
right.
question. Yep.
Okay, so okay, let me just get there.
So it's just read me the question. I just shut it up.
okay.
Okay, so if you're having trouble staying where you think you should be, my suggestion would be to try using the letter R to move
R?
through. Yeah. What it will do is it will move you through the radio buttons.
Interesting.
When I press
It
R, it
didn't.
just says R,
It
R.
said main
Ah,
region
you
for
know
me
why?
when I did it. Yeah.
Okay, so you're stuck in an edit box if it's just saying R.
Mhm.
Try, Lisa, hitting insert NVDA space.
NVDA space. Okay, got a beep of some sort.
Okay, was it a beep or a click?
Kind of like a beep.
Okay, so why don't you try R again? Because my guess
No next
is
radio button. Okay, no next
okay,
radio.
so you're at the end of you're after question 9. So
Okay.
do Shift H until you hear question 9, or you hear 9.
It's okay.
And then you should be able to hit R.
Should be able to. Okay, yeah, okay, yeah. So it just read the first one, radio button not checked. Okay.
Okay,
So if you
it's
press
gonna
space, you would check that one.
it's
but-
gonna go through the same thing. It's gonna read you the topic name, and then it's gonna tell you which choice you're on, whether it's more, about the same, or less. And it's gonna go through all of them like that. And whichever one you want to pick, you hit spacebar.
More, how do you, okay, so if I want more, I just space bar.
Yep,
Mhm.
on the one that said more.
Okay.
And then remember, you'll have 2 more that'll be the same topic, because there are 3 of each topic.
Uh-huh. So if I don't want to change more for the second one, which probably will be, but how would I get the
You
same?
just keep hitting R, and after more will be the same. So each one is going to be the topic name, then it's going to be more. The topic name, then it's going to be about the same. The topic name, it's going to be less. Then you're going to get new topic name, more, new topic
Okay.
name, the same, new topic name, less. And it's just
Okay.
going to keep going like that. Always the same order.
And now it doesn't erase the ones that we put like last
That's
week.
right. Oh my God. Yes, there is a setting in SurveyMonkey that will allow you to rank things, and that's not what we wanted to do here.
Nope.
Yes,
But I like that. I love that fact that I never knew about the R. See, this is why you came on. You hear something new every time.
yeah, and that works for both NVDA and JAWS.
Yes.
So,
I knew there was a way
there's-
you could go through it, and I didn't know what it was. That a table was the
no,
one I
like I
was concerned
said,
about.
there are, well, the table you can go through with table commands, you can go through with arrows, or if the arrows and the table commands are not working well, then you can go through by element. And this element is radio buttons.
Radio buttons, yeah.
Whoops. Okay, I gotta go. Okay. Yes, I'm coming, Dad.
Hi, Louise.
Goodbye, Louise.
Okay, 1 second. I'm just about done.
Okay,
Not
no
a
rush.
problem.
That's why we're doing this.
Yeah.
And sometimes I use a combination, like if I know that I want to see the topics, I'll make sure I'm in that topic column and then go down with Alt Control down arrow to the next topic. And then
Okay,
I know.
I think I've got it. I think I've hit an answer for each one. I think. I hope so.
Well, you can always check it out. You know, you can always
Yeah.
check them
Okay.
out.
Yeah.
All right. Number 10 and number 11, Lisa, we'll leave to you. They're edit boxes. So it's, whatever you want to write in there. And that's it. That's
Okay.
that. I think
And
I
that's
should
it.
end. I think I should end the recording now before we go off on
Okay.
any
Let's
tangent.
just say do the done button before you
Yes.
do the exit button, so that
Yeah,
it
if
saves
you
it.
want,
Yeah,
to send it now. If you don't
Yes, I'm
want to
going to
save
be
it.
doing it. Mhm.
Okay.
It's
All
been
right.
easier, actually, even though I'm not strong on the computer, funny enough, this is actually easier on the computer in a sense. Maybe I had trouble with this last one, but it is easier on the computer than, funny enough, by phone.
Some people are finding that it's okay by phone. I have never, I rarely do a survey on the phone because I'm lazy. That's the only reason I can do it, but I'm lazy, so I use my computer.
Mm.
It's, to me, but I think I'm gonna stop the recording now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because unless those of you who have not commented up until now have any questions related to any of these controls that we can answer before I stop the recording. So Pat, Marie, Chantal.
Oh, I'm good. I love to use my phone to do them, and I learned about the letter R, so I'm good to go. I had already done the survey and it wouldn't let me do it again.
I had the
Oh.
same problem last week.
I went into incognito in
Oh, okay.
on the computer, and then it let me. I think that's
Oh, yeah,
like private browsing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I couldn't remember how to do that on the iPhone. And it was
Oh
the
no, I
iPhone
don't know
that
how
I
to
did.
do it on that way.
Now
I
I kept
used to
telling me
know,
you've
and
already completed this. You can't. Yeah.
all right. Pat, do you have any questions? I know it's hard when you're not playing along, when you're not following along, but is there anything about this that didn't make any sense? And if you're talking, I'm not hearing you.
No, we are not.
Is she gone? Pat,
She
you're
went
still,
out.
yeah, you're muted. You are muted.
I wonder if she did the got it button or whatever when
Oh.
we,
Yeah.
Oh, yes, the recording. Hit F6 and see if there's a dialogue there asking you to get it that we are recording. Okay, I'm gonna turn off the recording
Yeah,
now.
because she's muted, actually.